Yeah, I was doing a bit of stalking on you before today, man, and I was looking in your Instagram bio. You've got a 5K time of 16 minutes, Mara of 2:47, 100K of 8:30, and you won the backyard ultra. You're a bit of a fucking beast.
Those, the 10K, 5K ones are always in the local Southerner surf. I don't really do the 5 or 10K. And that's basically, we run from Sutherland to Cronulla. It's like our local event. And the first 4Ks, like fucking downhill, big downhill. And then then you hit a big uphill and then a down and a big up. And the back end's a little bit more uphill. So it's actually a pretty brutal run, that one. But I know every time, every person in the Shire, I guarantee their 5K PBs, the Southerner surf.
Well, because 80% of it's downhill.
Just because the first part's all downhill. So the first 5 or 10K, you're pretty much going all right. Well, first 5K definitely. And then you won't get another 5K PB like that.
It's all right. You just claim it. Say it was uphill next
Claim
time.
it anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no one's gonna know it was downhill. Crazy, man. So when you took on the I'm Still Standing Sydney Backyard Ultra, that's the one, right?
Yeah, the one in Maroubra. Yeah, so I did that
How long ago?
last year and then this year.
How did you? Because you obviously won last year. Is that right?
This year's one.
You won this. Oh, so you won this
Yeah,
year's
this
one.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, March.
Okay. All right. Crazy.
And then last year's one
Fucking
was third.
yeah. Okay. All right. Did you go? What distance did you go last year?
32 hours, roughly. I think 32. 31 or 32 at time. I didn't make it back.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
quarter quits.
Well, I'm sure we'll get into that at some point, but
We'll get into
I
it.
wanted to know, man, when did you start this running journey? Because obviously you've got some pretty impressive, pretty impressive resume already. But when did you actually start running?
There's actually like a lot of people during COVID. So we signed up for our first Mara, which was Noosa. And then sure enough, that got cancelled during COVID, and then we postponed that to Goldie. Goldie was in July, and literally Thursday or something, we were flying out, and fucking Wednesday, Palaszczuk shut the borders on us. So that was the week of the lockdown that they cut us out, and then so sort of just in the lead up to that was basically the first time I started running, following any type of program and running properly. Back in 2019, whenever COVID was.
Yeah, it's not really that long ago.
That long.
Like it's
Nah.
yeah, nah, it's not really, man. Like in some of the guys that are doing, big ultras all the time, they started running when like, 20s, 30s, and they're going at 40s
Yeah,
and 50s.
40s and 50s now. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, tell me a little bit about the backyard ultra, right? So you won the most recent one, I'm Still Standing.
Yeah.
How long did it go? Let's hear it from your shoes.
So 40 hours is what it went for, which is what, 269 kilometers, I think, from memory, roughly. And that was on that fucking hot weekend too, where it was, I think it was 40, 41 both days, which was stark contrast to last year, which last year we got floods both days. But no, this one, yeah, it was super hot, 40 odd degrees both days. I think they said it was the hottest March weekend in history for New South Wales. And yeah, I went for 40 hours. I was actually loving the heat. I wanted to get hotter. Because I run a lot during the day. I run during the heat, and you could just tell every hour during the day, it was just people dropping. And then the night came, sort of settled a little bit, and then heat came the next day, and that's just what cooked people. Day two, after the heat the first day, then the second day. And then, yeah, went till about 11 o'clock that night, and then that was it, 40 hours.
Fuck. So it cut out before the second night. Is that right?
Yeah, so it was about 11 p.m. the second night was the last lap. So the 39th lap, then the 40th lap I had to do by myself. And that was, yeah, roughly 11 o'clock, I think, on that second night.
When you were coming in, obviously you came third for the first one. Were you trying to win? Like, did you come in with the mentality that I'm going to win this race?
Oh, a little bit, yeah. There was like a lot of people were tagging them on social media. So there's a lot of noise about it from like guys in Victoria posting, I'm either going to win it or I'm going to leave in a body bag, stuff like that. A couple of other people around that had a bit of a following that were plugging it out there. And I was, a lot of me wanted to win it. And I knew just with the Ks that I'd done, I knew no one on that starting line had the volume in their legs that I had. So I knew if push comes to shove, I knew I was fitter, not fitter necessarily, but I knew I had more Ks in the legs, more volume. The training was a lot higher than, because last year, right, I ran like 8,000 Ks, which is, and it was funny, like on Strava, if you look at it, the only person that I could find that ran more than me was Sean Bells. And he did 6,000 in 6 months, right? So, so I had more than...
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So I had more than like Sam Harvey, had more than Phil Gore, had more than... No, I'm not saying, that translates to a win, but I knew no one there was going to have as much volume in their legs and as much conditioning in their legs than I did. So I was pretty confident. And then when it came out that it was super hot, I was even more confident.
Did you start to get like G'd up when you'd see people drop out? Like, is that a good feeling when you're in deep in the race and you're watching people fall off?
Well, it's funny because like you don't even... Yeah, you do sort of know. Apart from the tally that they keep there on the finish line, which they tell you how many's in, how many's out, you don't see it as much as you think you do. Because like everyone's sort of finishing in different times. I was finishing, every day lap was like 43 minutes on the dot for me. So I'd finish, and that's relatively quick for a backyard. A lot of people doing 50, 55, right? So I'd be sort of finish, go sit in my tent, do whatever I got to do. And then most people still go to the starting line, start the next lap, but then just won't finish it. Or they'll walk back to their tent or whatever. So you don't actually see it that much until you get to the starting crane. Like, fuck, there's only 20 people left, 10 people left. So you don't, it's not as if like you're running, you see people drop off left, right, and center. But yeah, the start of each lap, you sort of have a look around. Okay, a few people dropped off. But no, not until you get into that final 5 do you start thinking, all right, fuck, who do we mow down here one at a time, sort of thing.
Yeah. Were you focused, like, did you have just one other person for quite a long amount of time, or was it just...
So the other guy was John Berry. So he came second.
As in, like, so, John, who's been doing our challenges as well.
Yeah, so he's, so it was me, him, and one other guy were the last 3. And it was funny, fuck, I don't even remember what lap it was, but he comes to me, he's like, fuck, we just got to get rid of this guy. And then there's this one guy, he was going pretty quick early on, and then he started slowing down. And I can remember clearly saying to him, I said, mate, just fucking stick with me this lap. It will fucking kill him seeing us 2 like 5 minutes ahead of him. It will kill him. And sort of pulled back a little bit. We ran together, finished the lap basically together. Next lap, he was gone, that other guy. And then it was down to us 2 for the last 2.
Far out. How long did you guys stay as you 2?
I don't know what lap he dropped out at. Maybe 30, the other guy. So there was a solid at least 6, 7 out. Like, it was still definitely light when we were running around together by ourselves. And then then he had Achilles issue, and then at 39, he was like, nah, I'm done.
Fucking hell. So were you and John, were you guys friends prior to this, or is that...
Yeah, we've been mates for a few years. Yeah. Yeah, so we did a lot of the training together too.
So how was it going against your mate? Like, did you once it came down to you 2, was it just like we're not friends anymore thing, or... not really, because he won it last year. Yeah, okay.
So he won it last year, then I won it obviously this year. So obviously next year is a bit of the decider. But there wasn't anything like that. It was obviously every now and again we'd give each other a little bit of a G up. But it wasn't really, I just want to get one fucking over him. Nah.
Yeah. Okay.
I sort of wanted him to get going. I wanted to go as long as we could, so then we can fucking, break 48 hours each, break 50, 55 or whatever. But yeah, is what it is.
Did you, when it was just you 2, did you have a feeling that you had it though? He's a pretty big boy. He's 100 kgs, isn't he? So yeah.
Without sounding like cocky, I sort of felt I had it from about halfway through day 2.
Yeah. Okay.
I just knew because I hadn't dropped my pace at all. My legs felt really, really good. Even at 40 hours, they felt really good. And the heat was helping me, and the heat I knew was affecting everyone else. And then I knew Johnny had a bit of an Achilles. I knew he was going to be the only one that was going to be up there. And then I knew he had a bit of an Achilles issue, which was slowing him down a fair bit. And obviously he's a big guy, so the heat would affect him a little bit more than me. But yeah, I'd say from somewhere between that 24 to 30 hours, I had a feeling that I was confident unless something bad happened that I was going to win.
How much more do you reckon you had in the tank, or if any? Like, because you said
good
you wanted
question.
to.
I felt really good. I honestly, I would have got through that night easily. I felt really, really good. Like the last lap was 38 minutes, and that was my quickest by a mile. But yeah, who knows, right? You can tear a hamstring the next lap and you're gone. But yeah, I've got a feeling that I had a fair bit more in me.
Does it make you want to test that now? Like, because I mean, I'd be
Yeah,
so
I'll test it
curious
again next year. Yeah, next year,
same
100%.
race.
Yeah, so I feel like I've got to go back there again. So I'll do that one, and then the goals next year is to try to get on that Australian team, the backyard Australian team, which is it'll be more by next year, but it's 56 hours at the moment.
Is in 56 hours is what you
That
have
so
to
they
get
take
to
the
get
top
on the team.
so they take the top 15, I think, and 56 hours is basically 15th at the moment. But then next year so they have like four or five silver ticket events each year. So Wollongong's got one next year, so I might even go down and do the Wollongong one, and then obviously if I don't get 56 or I win it, or one of the two or something, then you're on the team basically.
But if you go and do that race and everyone trips over and falls and it only goes 20 hours, does that mean then you don't get on the team? Is that how it works?
No. So the silver ticket guarantees you an entry.
Okay, so you just have to.
If you win a silver ticket event, yes, yeah, exactly right. So it's either come second and get more than 56, or come 10th and get more than 56, or win it.
Crazy. Man, that's a pretty quick turnaround. Like, I mean, from COVID to winning Backyard Ultra, that's 4 to 5 years. That's pretty crazy. Like, were you a sporty kid? Like, is this?
Funnily enough, not really. There's probably maybe 15 years ago, I started just training in the gym. Didn't start running. I was a little fat fucker as a kid. Did play sport, but I was never into really training or anything like that. Played cricket and footy and stuff. But then never really got into training until, what year would that have been? Maybe 2011, 2012, roughly. I was doing like accounting at uni or some bullshit. And then scrapped that and did PT, and then have been in PT since, basically.
Far out, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was a big boy.
Quick turnaround.
Yeah, I was
quick turnaround.
115 kilos or something at my heaviest, and then we did like a weight loss challenge thing. And it's funny. The thing that probably made me lock into that weight, like people have been probably trying to get me to lose weight a lot when I was that young, was we entered it was a weight loss challenge, it's a Vision Personal Training. It's like a franchise around here. There's probably some in Melbourne too. And they do like one or two big ones a year where they give out a big prize. And I think like sometimes it might be a trip to Hawaii, all expenses paid, or a $15,000 fucking spending spree. And so I entered in that. Funnily enough, the only reason I entered it was because out of all people, and love him to bits, but my dad goes, "Fuck, there's no way you're going to win that. Fucking no way." Like, I don't know whether it was a no way, you're not 150 kilos, you haven't got 60 kilos to lose sort of thing, or no way, you're a lazy fucking thing, you're not going to do anything to actually do it. But anyway, I went into that and I dropped 40 odd kilos in 9 weeks.
Far out.
And then, so yeah, that was the turning point then. And then went in, did my PT course, and then, yeah, started training just gym stuff, and then got into running a bit further on down the track.
But clearly that was obviously the thing. Like, you obviously have the drive in you, and that was just the first thing that's allowed you to actually express it, right? Like,
yeah, I agree. Like, I'm not always about I'd probably sort of go one or two ways. Either if someone goes, "Nah, he can't do it," then I want to do it. Or if someone goes, "I believe he can do it," it's like, fuck, if they believe I can do it, I got to prove them right. Otherwise, like, why do they believe in me more than I believe in myself? If that makes sense. So sort of one or two things have got to happen, and then it will click big time for me. Like, then I'll go all in.
So what made you chase Backyard Ultras then? Because I mean, there's a million other races you can do, but you've decided to go for one of the, almost the weirdest, most mentally tough format you can possibly go for.
It's a weird one, eh? I think that's what probably drew me to it. Like, there's no finish line there, and like a lot of people love like the result, right? They love training for a 2-hour 40 marathon, 3-hour marathon, whatever, and the result of getting 2:59. But I find I love the training more. So if I love the process more. If I could just train and just not even worry about a race or anything, then I just fucking train anyway. Like I think I love and crave the process and the training more than the actual result. So if I could go into something like sign up to a backyard ultra, I knew that was going to step me away from, because all I was ever doing was half marathons. I thought, okay, if I train for something that doesn't have a finish line, how much better is my training got to be prepared for that? Does that make sense? And then, so I sort of like, I like entering events or races that will make my training better. It will make my training like an all-round training program better, and not necessarily harder, but make me a more rounded runner or athlete or whatever you want to call it. And that was the biggest thing. I think, fuck, no finish line. How good's that? And I'm just going to have to fucking train the house down so I can, if I'm any chance of not embarrassing myself in this race.
And was that the first one you did? The I'm Still Standing?
Yes, the one last year. Yeah.
So, crazy, man. You came third in your first. I don't feel like you give enough credit to yourself even when you're saying it. Like you became third in your first backyard ultra after like a few years of running.
I probably don't. That's probably like and that's why part of me would be like, I love the training more. Because right, you get to a race and right, I hate the fucking taper. That's the worst part of it, because I'm not training as much as what I was training. And then after the race, you can't fucking walk for 2 days. So therefore, it affects your training again. I prefer to just fucking train. I just love the process of training rather than the actual necessarily the race itself. And then, so therefore, I probably don't give myself the credit of those events. But as soon as then I can get back on, build for another event or have something else there, I'm probably already locked into the next 2 years of races that I want to do, just so I know that I can fucking get back into that process of training and bettering myself to get to that next event.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. I mean, that's always been a reason that I've seen people do challenges, or like even the challenges that we have, they'll do the same thing. They'll sign up and commit to it just so they're motivated to actually train.
Do it.
Yeah. And I think it lights a fire in your training in a way that you wouldn't get if you didn't have a competition. Like if you have got,
I agree.
like you said, you've got that last one standing event. You know, like every time you think about, oh, maybe I'll just do 8Ks instead of 10 or whatever it is, you have that in the back of your mind.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing, right? Now that obviously I've gone well and I won one, in my mind, like other people are going to be like expecting me to win that next year. And now I'm like, fuck, I can't let anyone down next year. So I got to go in with that mentality now. I got to fucking win this thing, or I'm going to let other people down, which I'm not. Like they won't even give two shits if I don't win it. But in my head, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is probably not the best thing, not the best train of thought, but that's what I'll be thinking that whole time. And that'll probably, like, if I want to quit on one of the laps, or like every fucking motherfucker here thinks I'm going to win this. No, I can't quit. You know, my family's here watching me. They think I'm going to win this. Or my fiance has gone all night without sleep through me. She probably doesn't expect me to win it, but she wants me to win it, right? And in my head, I'm like, they want me to win this. I've got to win this. So fuck, I can't just sit in the fucking chair and not go out, can I?
Did you have moments during the race where you, obviously we've talked about how good you are and all these things, right? But did you have moments in that 40 hours is a long time. Did you have these lows where you thought about quitting, or there was these parts where you're just like, I can't do this anymore?
Not in the one at Maroubra, I didn't. I was amazed at how well I felt in that one. In the other ones, yeah. And it's funny, right? Like, it's probably a little bit of a mindset shift in this one, like, because you'll never actually outgrow the pain, right? It's like you'll only outgrow your fear of it through going through it. So it's like the suffering that you attach to that pain is what's going to break you. The pain won't break you because everyone can get through the pain, right? It's just like that belief you build up by slowly going through that pain, one rep at a time, one step at a time, one loop at a time. And then the belief that comes from that, you sort of don't attach that suffering to that pain. It's like, it's not going to be the pain that's going to stop you. It's the suffering that you fucking put in your mind that is attached to that pain that will break you. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense to you. Like, I find we suffer more in our imagination than we do in reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can sort of like, fuck, I've got sore legs. It's not like I'm going to fucking die here. But as soon as you've got sore legs, a lot of people associate with I'm fucked here, I'm gone, I've got to stop, my legs are gone, like I'm suffering. Then if you don't attach it to that suffering, I find that you can slowly chip away at that pain and get more belief by going through that pain, if that makes sense.
And from the first one you did to the second one you did, you
Yes, that's
noticed
what I'm
that.
saying. Yeah. So
yeah.
like the first one, the pain might have kicked in at like 24, 25, 26 hours or whatever. And then the next time, obviously, then I still went for another 6, 7, 8 hours. And then the next time I'm like, fuck, I went for 8 hours last time. I was in a little bit of pain. If I can go through 8 hours, like I clearly wasn't in that much pain if I ran for another 8 hours, right? Like it's really, it's something here. And it's like so similar to like the marathon, that the fucking war in a marathon. Like everyone associates, like ask anyone, oh, the war, 35, 36, 30 Ks. And it's like, why is it at 35? Like every marathon training block, have a look at it. Like the peak week is probably 35K. It's like the unknown, and they get there and they're like a little bit of pain and they're like, oh fuck, man, my legs are going to fall off. And that all of a sudden they can't run at their goal pace anymore because they've hit this magical 35-kilometer number. But then you find if you can go 1 extra K, 2 extra K each time, after a few marathons, the war's all of a sudden not there. And then you look at these people, right? They'll get to 35 and they'll run it like, say their goal pace is 5-minute pace. So 5 minutes every fucking K for 35 Ks. They get to 35 and all of a sudden it's 5:20, then 5:40. And then they'll get to 40 and they'll run at a fucking 4:40 pace and a 4:45 pace. It's like, the pain's not, like you've just run another 4K, but because mentally you had that in your head that 35 is this fucking war, you get to 35 and you just slow down. But then you get to 40 and 42 and you're running at like a 30-second quicker per kilometer. Like you clearly weren't in that much pain. It was the suffering you attached to that pain that was going to come at 35. So you've fucking in your head, you're gone at 35 regardless. Yeah. Whereas really, then you finish your last 2Ks fucking 20 seconds quicker than what you're running the first 30. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like clearly you had something else in your legs there to give, but it's just that suffering that you attached to that, and that suffering you had in your mind the whole time, like, fuck, I just got to get through that war. I've got to get through that war 35. I've got to get through that war. Just fucking, just keep running. Because like, unless you're absolutely dead, you're not running those last 2Ks at 30 seconds quicker than your goal pace, right? And it's funny, like, have a look at a lot of people's marathons and have a look at their, from 35 to 40 will be their slowest 5, 40 to 42 will be quicker than fucking every other kilometer.
Yeah.
All the time.
What I find so interesting about the last one standing format, because it's like every time you get back, you just got to ask yourself the question, can you do one more? And as cliche as that sounds, until you physically can't, you're more likely to kind of push through these psychological barriers, because like the answer is either yes or no, right? So it kind of forces people to push further than they've ever thought possible, because when they're running that marathon, like they can slow down and like taper off. But with this, like if you make it in the time, it's like, can you do another one? Yes or no. So I feel like it pushes people past their psychological barrier a lot faster than like what a normal standard race would.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, like you see people, like a lot of people went to to do their first marathon, like I think it's 7 loops. On the 7th loop, you get your marathon. And like seeing like the cheers from people to get their 7th loop at the marathon. And obviously like the people that are going to go far, it's like, fuck, we're only 7 hours in. But like that motivates you so much, seeing people there like, this is my first ever marathon. It's my first ever half marathon. I do 3 loops or whatever. And then I remember there was one in Brisbane we did, and he's like a 12-year-old kid. And he did like 5 or 6 loops. And it's just like, man, this kid can do 30, 40 Ks at 12 years old. Surely I can run 3 minutes, right? That's all I was doing. I was running 3 minutes, walking 2 minutes. And in my head, and that helped me so much compared to the first one. The first one we're doing like 8 and 2. There's this one I'm like in my head, can I run 3 minutes? Fuck, of course I can run 3 minutes. Can I run 3 minutes? Of course I can run fucking 3 minutes. Walk 2 minutes, then go again. Like it makes it so much easier to push through those mental limits if your next step is 3 minutes. And right, you could run 3 minutes, walk 2 minutes for 5 times, and you could walk the rest and you just wait. And you still have 10 minutes left.
Yeah. And you know what I find so crazy, right, is these people will come and you'll hear people I hear people all the time that'll run 20, 30 Ks in a training run. And then I'll say to them, you're going to do a marathon. They go, oh, nah, I'm not ready to do a marathon. I can't do a marathon yet. And you're thinking to yourself, like, you're so close already. You have absolutely no idea that you can. And
Yeah.
I think it's a really hard thing. I mean, you're a coach as well, and you probably see it all the time. It's like people just have this such limiting belief of what they are capable of. And a lot of the time they need something like a backyard ultra, something weird that kind of sends them past that what they thought was possible. And then they kind of shatters this belief and they go, oh, fuck, like this whole time I've been operating at like 30-40% of what I was capable of.
Yeah, 100%. And there was a girl in our group that did the backyard ultra, and she wanted to run her first marathon as that because she had UTA 50K coming up. And she wanted it, and she didn't make the marathon on that. She timed out, or maybe she didn't go back out on the 6th loop, so the one loop before it. And then obviously she was in her head the whole time of like, fuck, am I going to finish this 50K or not? I've never even run a marathon. But no, you didn't run a marathon, but you ran fucking 38K, right? It's only 12K less than the 50 that you need to run. And sure enough, yeah, did the 50, did the UTA, and was fine. But yeah, 100%, those limiting beliefs that people put on themselves, they almost, an event like a backyard ultra can like break that so easily. Like it's so much easier to run 100K in a backyard ultra than go out and do UTA 100, right? Where you've got to, like, you don't have the luxury of sitting down like for 10 minutes. Whereas this time, sort of every hour, everyone's reset, right? It's back to square one. Everyone's on an even playing field after 1 hour. So you might take 59 minutes to do the first lap, but then lap 2, you're back on even pegging with the guy that did 29-minute lap.
Yeah, and I think the stuff, like coming back to your point before about pain versus suffering, I think when you're in your own head, not talking to people, that's when you can start like amplifying that suffering. Like, should I quit? Should I not? Can I make it? Can I not? Where in the backyard ultra, you are broken down to just that one simple decision of like, should I do another one? And that is probably easier to answer than can I do another 80, 90 Ks, right?
Yeah, I agree. And that's probably obviously after your backyard ultra, that's probably not necessarily the next step, but that's a lot harder to comprehend that in your head of like, fuck, I'm at 50K, my legs are cooked in a 100K race, shit, I'm still going to do another 50K. Whereas obviously in a backyard ultra, you break that down. All I just keep saying, can I run 3 minutes? Yeah, all right, let's go. Like out the door, start running 3 minutes, get out of your chair, sit in the starting corral, run 3 minutes. And that's like, we did, I think there was like 9 or 10 of us from our group that did it. And every single time one of them would be like, oh, fuck, man, I'm feeling how's it? Can you run 3 minutes? Yep. All right, sweet, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a good lesson there, man. That's for sure. Like just breaking it down into small bite-sized decisions rather than this like big overall decision of fuck shit, can I do 90 Ks?
Especially in backyard ultra, obviously you can. That's the biggest advantage of a backyard ultra over, a point-to-point race or something like that, where it's like, fuck, I've still got to run another 120K or whatever it is. And if I'm hurting at 40K in a miler and I've still got another 120K to go, that's a bit harder to break down mentally if you're not prepared for it or if you haven't trained for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, we saw it when we put on King of the Hill, right? We thought people would make 5 laps pretty easily. And what was funny is people got knocked out 2 to 3 laps in. And like objectively, obviously it's still very hard, but was very, very achievable for most people. But people got in because of the psychological burden of navigating this giant hill, coming down the hill, and it being so psychologically difficult. People got to the end like, I can't physically do it. But I'm like, mate, you just finished it 20, 30 minutes early. What are you talking about?
It's so 4K. Just fucking run it.
Literally, yeah. And like, it was 3.2 the first round. So people finished 1, 2, 3 laps. And then they just spiraled psychologically. And you saw it like this just unraveling of this mental state. And it's exactly what you were saying. Like they just got in their own head. They're like, I don't think I can do this for 20 more hours. But it's like, you've only done 3. Why are you thinking about 20 when you just need to think about 4, 5, 6? And I think that it definitely comes with experience though, don't you think? Like, I mean, when 100%. You broke through your first barrier versus now, for example.
100%, yeah. That first sort of pain, I was like, and I think Sam Harvey said it once. He's like, mate, everyone's in pain after 8 hours. Like, fuck, we've been running for 8 hours, and he's gone on to do 100 hours. He's like, it's just whether you can withstand that pain. Like, it's not a 10 out of 10 pain. It'll just be a nagging 3, 4, 5. And it's just like, if you don't associate that suffering, as I said before, with the pain, then therefore, like, you can get through pain. It's like, you can get through it. But if you think you're suffering and you associate suffering with that pain, like, fuck, and start feeling sorry for yourself, that's when it's going to tap out of your mind for sure. Like, he was like, 8 hours in, yeah, my legs are cooked. And it's funny, like out of all the big guns in the backyard ultra, he does look pretty cooked sometimes at like 10 hours in. But then, mate, he's just fucking still going 100 hours in. Like, it's mind blowing. He's like, and that was a big one that I learned from him was like, everyone's certain at 8 hours. Like, someone asked him that on the podcast, and I was like, whoa, blown away. This is before I even did my first one. He's like, yeah, everyone's certain at 8 hours. It's just about who can withstand it for the next 97 hours. But I'm sure he's obviously not thinking about that at 8 hours. He's not thinking about trying to get through to 105 hours. He's like, I can get through 1 more hour. I can get through 1 more hour. And slowly the day's gone, the next night's in, the next day's in, and so forth. All of a sudden you're at 24 hours, and then you're like, fuck, I saw it 5 hours, but now all of a sudden I've broken it down. Now I've got another 19 hours out, 20 hours out, and all of a sudden, fuck, let's just replicate this process over and over and over and over again and see how far you can go.
Yeah, he's a crazy character, man. And I think sometimes you put people on this pedestal and your ego loves to say it's just because they're a good runner or these other reasons. But then when you actually meet these people and you speak to them, you realize they're so psychologically ahead in this space than you think they are. That obviously they still need to be a good runner, of course, but it's very easy to pigeonhole people into just being good at something when the reality is there's so many other layers that are involved.
So many, it's great. And like, especially in, like, it's a little bit different, say, marathon running. Like, if you want to run it, like, people just aren't going to run a 2:10 marathon, right? Or like where the elites are. But in something like this, where it's without downplaying the event, that without, like, you don't need as much talent to go well in this, right? Like, you don't need to be a 2-hour marathoner. You don't need to be a sub 90 marathoner or half marathoner, sorry. Like, it's 6.7 Ks in an hour. People walk it.
Yeah.
But it's that psychological power of just going over and over again, sleep deprivation overnight, ensuring you eat enough food, just slowly breaking it down. Like, it breaks people down mentally way more than it will physically.
Yeah.
Way more.
100%.
And then throw in, like, fuck, you might get a torrential downpour. You might get, like, and you've got to run like every hour that day, right? You can't just run at 3 a.m. If you just train it strictly at 3 a.m. in the morning when there's no sun, right? And then all of a sudden you get that 40-degree day that cooked fucking everyone. It's sort of like, it's a lot more mentally draining on you having to run 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., then 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., midday, midnight, like every single hour of the day. That's like, it's just a different ball game compared to a marathon. Just because obviously marathon, the elites are so far ahead of, the average Joe in a marathon, whereas the backyard ultra, everyone's more on an even playing field. If that makes sense, like 6.7.
100%.
I'm sure if you could go out and walk in 6.7 in an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, like, it brings a lot more people back into the game, and then it just comes down to that. Then it just comes down to your mind. Then after that, like, it's whoever can withstand that pain for the longest, essentially.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at the Ks that some of these people are putting in. Like you said before, you're doing heaps of Ks. But some of the people that are winning or top 10, like, their Ks are pretty similar in terms of volume across the board. Like, you'll see people doing 80 all the way through to 200, of course, but like there is a lot of similarity there. So then when you boil it down, like it does, removing major injury from the mix and stuff, it really does just boil down to mindset.
100%.
And how much you can eat shit, basically.
Funnily enough, I find people's stomach goes on them before their legs and stuff go on them. Like, just because people aren't used to eating fucking, 300, 400, 500 calories while you're running every single hour. And like that, like, and obviously then not being able to sit down, rest, digest it properly, and then you're up and you're eating a full food. Like, that took me a lot more training, and that probably hurt me the most in the first one than the next one.
How much were you ingesting per hour? Like, did you have a strategy you were sticking to with it?
The first one, I sort of just winged it. Like, I had a bit of a strategy, but I sort of winged it, and my guts were fucked. Like, proper, like every single lap, two times a lap, going on the top, it was fucked. And then the next one, I worked with a nutritionist, and like no real issues at all.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it is definitely
that was handy. Yeah.
It's definitely a underrated thing that when you're doing ultra endurance that people just don't even think about. And this, honestly, I've seen a lot of different people, and some people will just be fine. They can ingest anything. I luckily fall into that bag. But then other people, you give them a grape and they have to fucking pick at it, eat the like skin, like they can't handle it. It's just so interesting. Like I will literally have an ultimate double whopper meal, tons of shit food, and then I can just go get back on it. It doesn't bother me at all. And I've been very lucky that I've got
that fucks me.
yeah. And I think that is
yeah, I'm bad with that. Like people, the first one we got like pizza and stuff like that, and that fucking killed me. And then the next one they got like Macca's in the morning. I had like a hash brown. I was fucking straight through me. So then the next one, like they got pizzas and everything. I'm just like, nah, fucking stick in my spreadsheet. That's it.
How many calories were you doing per hour? You were tracking calories per hour?
Yeah, so calories and carbs. So I'd try to get in about 350 to 500 per hour, anywhere between there.
Yeah. Okay.
So 350 would be a very low lap, which not very often. That would only come after a big lap of say 550. But it would be the same 4 to 6 things just on repeat. And it was like my biggest thing was no fats, like not none, but low fat.
Yeah, I find
that's what fucked me last time.
Fats is I feel like you've really got to train in fats. Like some people can ingest it. Like fats, I had the same thing with pizza. Like as soon as I had the pizza, I was like, oh fuck, yeah, I've made a mistake here. But yeah, high carbs is definitely the way to go for sure. What are you I
was probably getting in 90 grams of carbs per hour. And this is obviously on a real low energy burning event, if that makes sense, right? Marathon, you're chewing through probably 100 or 150 grams of carbs, like just through your energy because you're going so quick. But this one, obviously, you're running, walking, right? So that was on the higher end, that 90 grams. But I found that worked to a T for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've definitely got to individualize your own strategy. For sure. But I wanted to come back just quickly. So I looked at your week last week, right? You ran 192 Ks last week.
That was a bit of an anomaly last week. I don't usually whack out a 60 on a Sunday. That was Mark Brenneth asked me to jump in with him on his 100 Ks that he was doing. Didn't expect him to get there and say, fucking, can you pace me for a 50K PB? But and it actually coincided perfectly with the start of the challenge that you guys are doing on June 1 or whatever it was. So that actually played into my hands. I probably would have only done 35, 40 maybe instead of 60.
Yeah, I mean,
too much
your weeks are pretty crazy, man. I was having a look. Like you're doing 160s, 170s on a pretty consistent basis, and the line on Strava is so fucking consistent. It's making me question my own consistency. But do you find now that with like all of this, because I can clearly see that you've got a crazy mindset in the best way possible. But do you feel like people now just pigeonhole you as a good runner?
Not. I don't know. Maybe my head's in the sand a little bit. But not really that I feel. But then I don't know. You may ask other people around me, and they're like, "Fuck, no, he is." But I just see people like, you got like if I'm talking backyard ultras, you got Phil Gore who sits there and can just run 110 hours, like no dramas. Or then if you look at like I'm training for a marathon now, and you look at the marathoners, I'm like fucking 15,000th, but I'll still run like a 240 marathon. But then so I don't feel I am. But I'm sure other people probably do say I am, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get you. Nice, man. This has been super, super intriguing learning about it. Like I've been seeing you float around for ages, so it's been cool to learn. But I've started this thing on the last question for each of these podcasts. I forgot to do it last week, but I better ask you. So the question is, what's one challenge you'd love to see someone else do, but you'd never do yourself?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stumper.
I'll say people will probably think it's a G up and I'm blowing smoke up your ass. But anything to fucking assault bike, I would fucking hate it. Actually, I like it, and I don't mind the assault bike. I just a long duration on that thing would be like fucking torture. And obviously, I know you've done it. There's actually one that it came up the other day. No fucking way in the world I'd do it. And it was like the longest time in isolation, like no sunlight, no human contact, no phones, nothing. And it was like fucking 3 years this guy spent in a cave to break the record. I was like, fuck that.
Oh, no way. Yeah, there's no way. Do you know what would probably break you? It would break you more having 100 days of not running than 100 days of running.
Yeah, whack a treadmill in there and I'm sweet.
Crazy, man.
Nah, I'd have to say the assault bike. Fuck that. There's no way I'd get on an assault bike for anything over an hour.
Yeah, to be honest,
No
the assault
way.
bike was surprisingly way worse than I thought it would be. I came in with the mentality that I thought it would be okay, but there's this rate of diminishing return that happens really fast, and once your quads give up, that you're basically just trying to grit it out, and it's just they just could not recover.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely agree with you. If I was asked this question, what's one challenge you'd love to see someone else do and not do? It's 100% would be assault bike. There's no fucking way I would ever do that again.
I hate that thing.
Yeah.
I remember I did 1,000 calories on it once for a fucking gym challenge. It was the fucking worst day of my life.
There's really not another machine out there that can take you past that point the same way assault bike can. I don't really understand it. I'm sure there's some reasoning behind it, but it just gets like every single drop of your soul. It doesn't leave anything there.
Yeah, I fucking hate it. I can't stand it. Cannot stand it.
Yeah, crazy. Nice,
So,
man.
yeah, mate, you've done it. So fucking hats off to you.
Yeah, well, never again. We might wrap there, man. It was lovely to meet you.
Too easy. Thanks, mate. Appreciate your time.